St Nicholas class, I hope you're all very well. Welcome to our next video. So over the last couple of videos we've been looking at graffiti artists, doing a bit of graffiti ourselves and also learning about the history of the Berlin Wall. Today we're going to be looking at city landscapes, how they can be different, and we're going to look at a poem that talks about the city at night. So first thing I need you to do, you will need a pencil and a piece of paper, or pen or colouring pencil, scrap piece of paper, anything you've got at home. So if you don't have one in front of you, pause me now, run and find one and then come back. Okay, you've all got one? Fab. Right. First job I want you to do is think of a city, can be any city you like, can be a city you've been to and you've seen, but think of any city and write down 10 words that come into your head when you think of that city. Any 10 words you like, but 10 words that come into your head when you think of that place. I'm going to do it too. Ready? So off you go. Give you about 30 seconds, 10 words. Okay, you've got some? Perfect. Right, I'll read you a few. So I thought about London, and a few words I came up with were busy, crowded, dirty, hot, exciting, sparkles, entertaining. Okay, so have a look at the words you've put down and have a think. Are they positive words? If you put down lots of positive things, or are they quite negative words? Have a look at your list now. What is it mostly? Is it mostly positive or mostly negative? Have a look. And then once you know if it's positive or negative, why do you think? So positive words would exciting, happy, bright, colourful, or maybe it's noisy, dirty, crowded. Negative words. Have a think, which one's yours, more positive or more negative, and have a think why. Okay, if I look at my list, I'd probably say it's more negative than positive. Things like busy, crowded, hot, dirty. Because when I think of city spaces, I think of them being very busy, very crowded, very tall buildings around me, lots of steam and pollution in the air, and it can be quite a lot. So even though I've got some positive words on there, I'd probably say mine's mainly negative. And I think that's because where we live, we're very lucky to have a lot of open space. So when we go into cities, it can feel very crowded and very busy. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at, here's an image of London during the day. I'm just going to move slightly out of your way. Here's an image of part of London during the day. So I want you to have a look and look how much you can see. You may recognise some landmarks. Have a look what you can see in the distance. Have a look what you can see close by. Have a think about the colours. Look what's on the roads and just take a moment. How much can you see? What can you see? What colours can you see? What landmarks can you see? What does it look like? Okay, I'll give you a couple of minutes to have a look and have a think. What can you see? Okay, so it may be a little bit harder because I know you're trying to see this from home, but if I have a look at it, I think it looks bright. I can see the London Eye. I can see the Shard. I can see busy streets with lots of people on them. I can see lots of traffic. I can see rooftops full of people. I can see far, far into the distance. I can see the hills in the distance, and I can see buildings, lots of different size buildings for miles and miles and miles. So as far as I can see the city. And it goes on for miles and miles and miles. What I want you to do now is I'm going to show you a very, very similar image of the same part of London, but it's at night time. And I want you to think about, how does it look different? Why does it look different? What can you see this time that you couldn't see last time? And what can you maybe not see this time? Okay, so I'll try and zoom that in a little bit for you. Okay, so exactly the same part of London, but this is at night time, so how is it different? How would you describe it now? So again, we've got the London Eye, we've got the Shard, but have a look, have the colours changed? How much of the city you can see, has that changed? Does it look more exciting? So when I look at it now, you can see the same streets, but instead of being able to see all the cars and the buses and the people, you can just see the light of the travelling vehicles zooming around the streets. It's just bands and bands of light. Instead of being able to see the hilltops in the distance, I can't, they're buried in darkness now. But I can see lots of lights far into the distance, and I think it's very pretty. It's like lots of twinkly lights all across the city. I can see lots of different colours that weren't there before. I've got purples, greens, blues, reds, lots more different colours. So to me, I think this looks really exciting with all the colours and all the light zooming around the streets. And here's another image for you. So again, another part of London in the daytime. We've got St Paul's Cathedral. Okay, we've got the River Thames. So have a look at the picture. What are the colours you can see? What can you see? How does the picture look? How does it make you feel? Does it feel busy? Does it feel calm? And then again, if we look at the similar image but at night time, let's see if I can, there you go. How's it different now? What can you see that's different? How have the colours changed? How would you describe it? So instead of the sort of greys that we had in the last picture, the sort of the blue sky, the grey bridge, kind of bluey grey Thames, the pale St Paul's Cathedral, when we look at it at night time, we've got blues, we've got oranges, we've got reds. St Paul's Cathedral is lit up, the bridge is lit up, all the buildings are full of light, their reflections are all in the Thames. It's a very, very different looking picture, and it feels very different as well. So what we're going to do now is listen to a poem. If I can hopefully get this to load. I'm hoping this will load for us. And we'll come down here. Okay. So this poem is called Last Night I Saw the City Breathing.
Last night I saw the city breathing. Great gusts of people rushing in and puffing out of stations singing mouths. Last night I saw the city laughing. Takeaways got the giggles, cinemas split their sides, and living rooms completely creased themselves. Last night I saw the city dancing. Shadows were cheek to cheek with brick walls. Trains wriggled their hips all over the place, and the trees in the breeze put on a show for an audience of windows. Last night I saw the city starving. Snaking Avenue smacked her lips and swallowed 7 roundabouts. Fat office blocks got stuffed with light and gloated over empty parking lots. Last night I saw the city crying. Cracked windows poured like falling stars, and the streets were paved with mirrors. Last night I saw the city sleeping. Roads night dreamed, street lamps quietly boasted, when I grow up I'm going to be a star. And the wind like a cat snoozed in the nooks of roofs.
Okay, so that's the poem that I did load onto, I did send out in a Zap yesterday if you did want to look at it first. But I'm going to put a copy of it on the screen for you now. So last night I saw the city breathing. So have a look if you can have a read through it. If you can't, I'm going to read it out. And what I want you to listen for is how many, when I read it, how many references to light does he make in his poem? So when I'm reading it, think about at what point does he start talking about light? So last night I saw the city breathing, great gusts of people rushing in and puffing out of stations, singing mouths. Last night I saw the city laughing. Takeaways got the giggles, cinemas split their sides, and living rooms completely creased themselves. Last night I saw the city dancing. Shadows were cheek to cheek with brick walls. Trains wiggled their hips all over the place, and the trees in the breeze put on a show for the audience of windows. Last night I saw the city starving. Snaking avenues smacked her lips and swallowed 7 roundabouts. Fat office blocks got stuffed with light and gloated over empty parking lots. Last night I saw the city crying. Cracked windows poured falling stars, and the streets were paved with mirrors. Last night I saw the city sleeping. Roads night dreamed, street lamps quietly boasted, when I grow up I'm going to be a star, and the wind like a cat snoozed in the nooks of the roof. Okay, did you hear anything in that poem that referenced light? Let's have a look. So, oh sorry, my screen's freezing. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see. Okay, so last night I saw the city starving, snaking avenues, smacked her lips and swallowed 7 roundabouts. Fat office blocks got stuffed with light. Okay, so there's our first reference, stuffed with light. What do you think that means? I think it describes how an entire office block lights up and the light looks like it's bursting out of it. Last night I saw the city crying. Cracked windows poured falling stars. What image does that look like in your head? Cracked windows pours falling stars. Okay, so open windows, you can see the light falling out of open windows. And then further down, last night I saw the city sleeping, road nights dreamed. Street lamps quietly boasted, when I grow up I'm going to be a star. So the light coming from the street lamps, they silently boasted, I'm going to be a star one day. Okay, so he does make a few references to light in his poem and how that feels in the city at night time. What time of night do you think this poem is set? Do you think it's late at night when there's no one around? Or do you think it's earlier? Have a think. Great gusts of people rushing in and puffing out of stations singing mouths. What time in the evening at night time do you think this is? I think from what he's writing is, I think it's sort of early evening when everyone's leaving work and people are rushing in and out of tube stations and there's lots of cars on the road. And he puts the clues in here, rushing in and out of stations singing mouths. Cinemas split their sides. So people are out at the cinemas watching films. Takeaways got the giggles. What time of day do we tend to have takeaways? At dinner time, at tea time. Living rooms completely crease themselves. So families sitting in living rooms watching TV, laughing. So what I wanted to look at with this poem today is personification. So personification is when you give a human quality, like laughing, smiling, singing, waving, to something that's not human. So, I'm going to read through the poem again. And listen for, when does the poet make something that's not human sound human by giving it a human quality? So last night I saw the city breathing, great gusts of people rushing in and puffing out of stations singing mouths. Last night I saw the city laughing, takeaways got the giggles, cinemas split their sides and living rooms completely creased themselves. So in those first 2 paragraphs of the poem, where does he use personification? Where's he given a human quality to something that's not human? Have you found them? Hey, well done. Last night I saw the city breathing. So he's giving the human quality of breathing to the city. You can see it breathing. Gusts of people puffing out of stations, singing mouths. So the open door of a station he describes as a singing mouth. Again, this is personification, giving a human quality to something that's not human. Last night I saw the city laughing. So saying the city's laughing, again, personification. Takeaways got the giggles, another one. Cinemas split their sides and living rooms completely creased themselves. So he's taken different areas of the city and what's happening and given it a human quality. Just go down here. Okay, so everything in purple is where we found personification. Hey, last night I saw the city dancing. Shadows were cheek to cheek with brick walls. Trains wiggled their hips all over the place and the trees in the breeze put a show on for the audience of windows. Last night I saw the city starving, so saying the city's hungry. Snaking avenues smacked their lips and swallowed 7 roundabouts. Fat office blocks got stuffed with light and gloated over empty car parks. Last night I saw the city crying. What do you think when he says the city's crying? What do you think he's trying to describe? What can he see? Cracked windows poured with falling stars and the streets were paved with mirrors. So what's happening here in the city? Can you guess? The city's crying, the streets were paved with mirrors. When do the streets look like they're mirrored? Well done, that's right, when it's raining. So he describes it as the city crying and the reflection of all that rain on the pavement is like mirrors. Last night I saw the city sleeping. So what time of night do we think it is now? If you describe something as sleeping, it's more peaceful, it's quiet. So I think we're much later in the evening now. Roads, night dreamed, street lamps quietly boasted. When I grow up, I'm going to be a star. So in the silence of the night, the street lamps light up the street and they dream of being a star. Okay, so in that one poem, the poet uses a lot of personification. He gives a lot of human qualities to something that's not human. And he does that to be able to describe what's happening throughout the city as he goes through the night. So this is what I'd like you to have a go at today, having a go at personification. So I've put up an image. This is another image of London. Have a go now. See if you can maybe write, look at the image, write 1 or 2 things where you give a human quality to something in the picture. Okay, and I'll give it a go as well. Okay, so I'll give you a minute or so. Have a look. Can you give a human quality to any part of that picture? Okay, off you go. I'll have a go too. We'll see what we come up with. Okay, what did you come up with? So it is really tricky and just practicing this will make you better and better at it. But I had a look and I thought I'm going to give a human quality to the River Thames and all the lights on it. So I put the river was waving to the boats floating by. Okay? And then I looked at the wheel And I've said the wheel was calling out to everyone in the city. So the wheel's turning with all this beautiful bright light. And I said that the wheel is calling out, which kind of shows that the wheel can be seen across the city and it's calling out to everyone they can see. So what I'm going to do is this PowerPoint that I've used today, I'm going to put on your tile on the school app. And on this next slide, there are a few images of London at night time where you can have a look, pick one, and then write a few sentences using personification. So can you make that photo come alive using personification, giving a human quality to something that's not human? So I've given you a few options here, but you can use any image you like. So if there's an image of a city that you visited or you know well that you would like to use, that's absolutely fine. You can use any image you'd like, but just make sure it's of a city, because we're looking at urban areas, and make sure it's at night time, because we're looking at the images and what we see at night that's different today. So try and write a few sentences using personification. You may even want to, if you'd like to challenge yourself, see if you can even begin to write a short poem like the one we've learnt together using personification. So can you maybe put those sentences together and make a poem? Once again, if you want to send me what you create, I would love to see it. So if you send it to my class email address, which is saintava@stjohnshorsham.school, I'd love to read what you come up with. This is tricky, but just give it a go, see what you get on with, and just practice. And the more you look at the picture, the more you'll see. Okay, so I will see you on Thursday. Have a lovely week.